Is it clearly permissible for an interrogator to threaten to sexually abuse the mother of a detainee at a CIA black site? Should that person have been punished?
Well, yes, of course.
Was he punished?
Before my time, I am certain that CIA took administrative action against all of those.
Like a fine?
Well,
take a couple of days off from the office for threatening to sexually
how about
abuse?
ending your life's work? How about
going to prison?
How about denying you your livelihood?
How about going to prison?
Well, it depends. I mean, the American justice system has a system by which we arrive at those decisions, and in this case, career prosecutors decided not to prosecute.
How about what's been called rectal feeding, the act of forcing pureed hummus and pine nuts through the rectum of one particular detainee who later tried to kill himself? Is that clearly permissible in your view?
Well, to be perfectly candid, when I read that in the report, I learned about it for the first time. It was not an authorized technique. I have since gone back to the agency and asked a view. They said actually that it was medically indicated because this particular individual had gone violent in terms of the agency.
No doctors agree with that view, General Hayden. You know that.
Actually, Mehdi, that's not true.
Really? Well, yeah. Professor Thomas Burke, Professor of Emergency Medicine at Harvard, says it's not a normal practice. It's never used by doctors to feed. Professor Stephen Miles of the University of Minnesota, Professor of Internal Medicine, says it's a variation on a medieval form of torture. You can't feed somebody
you found some doctors to give you a view.
Okay, some doctors. Wesley Boyd, Harvard Med School professor. Rectal feeding is full on. 100% torture, period.
Okay, so now...
Three of America's top professors of medicine.
Actually, it seems as if you've almost helped author the Senate report because you drill down on a few things which and I've agreed with several of the things you've already identified. But we're talking about 100 and 130 detainees, a third of which had enhanced interrogation techniques used against them, a much smaller number than that, any of these harsh techniques, including waterboarding, which was used only against 3. And so
But you're okay with the rectal feeding, even though doctors say that's not the way you can feed anyone?
Look, I don't have the background, the medical or legal background to make a judgment on that.
What about waterboarding?
It was not an authorized interrogation
technique. What about
waterboarding?
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed waterboarded 183 times.
I'm sorry,
Abu Zubaydah.
Stop. What do you mean 183 times?
Okay, I'll tell you what the CIA's internal records say. They say Mohammed's waterboarding was a, quote, series of near drownings. Abu Zubaydah was completely unresponsive, with bubbles rising through his open, full mouth. The President of the United States says that's torture. Do you think that's torture?
The current President of the United States says that's torture.
Yes.
Right. The Attorney General at the time, and actually a total of 3 Attorneys General, said it wasn't torture.
Do you think it's torture?
Well, I have not been forced to make that decision. What I have done is reflect the legal opinion that was extant at the time these decisions were made.
Yes. And do you think it's torture?
No,
you have no view?
Mehdi, you're the nth person to ask me that.
That doesn't change the reality that you're avoiding a very simple answer.
I'm not giving an answer.
If President Assad waterboards Syrian rebels, you will not call that torture?
Oh, that's completely different.
Why? So if America does it, it's fine, but if Syria does it, it's bad.
Let me answer the question, all right? If President Assad did it according to the rules that CIA used, if President Assad did it with medical personnel...
Series of near drownings, completely unresponsive, bubbles rising through his open, full mouth.
In the time limits that we were limited. By the way, the 183 refers to this, refers to the number of pores.
Okay.
Very often, people take 183 as 183 sessions and so on.
Good point. Series of near drownings, bubbles rising through open, full mouth. That is not torture in your view?
Well, again, the legal opinion extant at the time for a nation that felt itself under very serious threat against a total of 3 individuals whom we believe then and now had life-saving information. That's what happened.
Was it torture, though?
No, I'm not saying it's torture. You're not going to get me to say it's torture.
I just want to ask one quick question about Janat Gul. You must know this detainee, who was held for 47 hours without sleep in a diaper until he begged to be killed. His CIA interrogators told their superiors he didn't have any information. They were told to continue with their quote-unquote enhanced interrogations. Was that clearly permissible? He was then released without charge, by the way.
Well, first of all, with or without charge has no meaning to somebody like me in the intelligence world, all right? What we do in the intelligence world is gain information. This is not a court of law process.
47 hours in a diaper. He tried to kill himself later. He begged to be killed.
Yeah. So I don't...
Is that torture?
Well, apparently, according to the Attorney General at the time, no, it was not.
But according to you?
No, I mean, look... We all
it's nothing torture if the Attorney General says it's not torture. If you pull someone's fingernails out and the Attorney General says it's fine, you think it's fine?
No, actually I don't think Attorney General...
Where do you draw the line? Only whatever the Attorney General says? Or do you have a personal line as to what is torture?
Of course I have a personal line.
What is it?
And I will not cross my personal line.
What is it?
But
Tell the viewers
when you have when you take on a responsibility for defending 320 million Americans. You have to combine your personal moral framework with the broader responsibilities. And the point of the book, the point of the book is that this is a sea of gray. You're pointing out what you think are pure white moral high grounds and pure dark moral swamps. I'm asking you to clear the gray for us. What is your line? What do you say is torture? Where do you draw the line at torture without the help of an Attorney General? Well, where do you personally draw the line at torture? Well, there are some things, as I said in the book, there are some things that no one argues about. There are some things that everyone agrees we should never do. Sodomy, pulling out fingernails, and so on. And then you've got this gray area in the middle. And let me just walk you through the American reasoning on this, all right? But beyond the headlines, all right? The American concept here in the middle, Betty, has to do with what we call shock the conscience, all right? In the totality of circumstances in which you find yourself at that moment, would your behavior shock the conscience of a normal, moral human being? And it depends on a lot of things, not just the narrow definition of the act, why you're doing it, and what world of threat you are living in at the time you are doing it.